Hey folks, it's Bill, and you're watching Bill's Box of Sound. Today is Monday, the 12th of May. Da-ba-ding, da-da-ding, says my watch. And yesterday was Mother's Day, and what came via FedEx but cheaper than cheap? The new Frank Zappa. Yeah, I'll be reviewing that later on this week. But I just want to talk to Zappa fans, new and old in general, and cover this little situation as I record this. And this started yesterday. Frank Zappa's Cheaper Than Cheap has been released, and folks all over the world are displaying their pre-ordered copies on Facebook and Instagram and other social media outlets. And then somebody posts, well, I'm so sick of all of these 1974 releases. All these extra concerts that are paired with the Overnight Sensation album box and the Apostrophe 50th Anniversary box. And then there's releases related to Roxy and elsewhere. And they're complaining that they can only put up with so many versions of Penguin in Bondage or Inca Roads or Montana and Dupree's Paradise. And you got to remember, every single Zappa concert is different from night to night. I don't know if you realize that or not. And you don't have to buy every single one. Of course, it's fun to collect them, and for me, it's just absolutely essential. It's because Frank Zappa is my favorite artist. But the performances vary a lot more than other groups' concerts. I mean, personally, I'd be happy to get a whole week's worth of shows from a specific run, even 1974. And I would savor each and every one of those performances, because each performance offers something different. With a Zappa concert, something different happens every single night. Saw this interview with Napoleon Murphy Brock where he said that every night performing with Frank is a different experience. And every Zappa guitar solo, it is an instant composition, unique from the previous one and unique from the one that's going to come after it. No two Zappa guitar solos are alike. They're wonderful. Now, people have also argued with me about this, that you can't necessarily say that about the Grateful Dead. I mean, yes, every show is unique. Every show is special. They changed up the song list every single night, and that leads me to another question that people ask. Why are there so many more Grateful Dead releases than Zappa releases? Why don't we get more Zappa releases every year? Or at least, every year the Grateful Dead puts out at least 4 releases. And that's the Dave's Picks series. You can even buy it by subscription. And these are releases that are mail order only, yet they chart on the Billboard charts. And also, the Grateful Dead put out box sets every year, themed boxed sets of stuff that's unreleased. There was recently a 60 CD box set. And it's a limited edition, and they're almost all sold out. This stuff comes out like crazy for Grateful Dead fans. So, they say, why are there so many more Grateful Dead concerts? And we know that Frank Zappa recorded all of his concerts whenever possible. And, why aren't there that many Zappa releases? Well, I think I know why. And you want to know why? There's a reason for this. A very large number of the Grateful Dead's live recordings are soundboard recordings, or ones that were taken direct from the mixing board at the concert. Or they are direct to 2 channels recordings that not a lot of prep has gone into to prepare them for release. And I mean, when you start with a recording of a Grateful Dead live show like that, in that condition, a lot of things have already been done that do not have to be done to prepare a conventional music release. There's exceptions because there are Dead shows in the vaults that are recorded multi-track, and a lot of times those particular releases are audio quality wise a bit better. And it could be that a Grateful Dead release, and it has happened, could even be done from an audience tape. The Grateful Dead allowed people to come in and record their concerts. There was even a taping section. Now, Frank Zappa recorded every show that he possibly could because he was recording it as part of a project. He wanted everything captured so it could be part of another release. He took the live recordings very seriously. He took the tapes that he had made, he brought them into the studio, edited them, overdubbed them, completely remixed them, and sometimes turned them into completely different creations. There's even some things where he took a live performance of drums and bass and then flew in a guitar solo from another performance, creating a third thing completely different. So Zappa did not authorize audience taping. He hated it because it happened a lot. And as a consequence, there are literally hundreds of different Frank Zappa bootlegs in circulations, all with wildly varying levels of quality. Mostly poor quality, to be honest, and frequently at exorbitant prices. Let me just grab a drink of water here. But getting back to official releases, preparing a Zappa show for commercial release means that first, the entire show has to be intact. Frank's work ethics and unique procedures of making albums. There's a lot of legendary performances that Frank took pieces out of a recorded show and placed it into another project that he was working on. There's, albums that are hybrid live studio things. And if you want to take that whole show and put it out, well, those shows need to be hunted down to get all the parts in one place. And the only documentation that existed back when Frank was alive was in his head. This is why the Vaultmeister, Joe Travers, his job is so complex. Shows have to be mixed down to stereo for multitrack or another releasable format, edited for content, mastered, and artwork has to be designed and manufactured for the release before it can be put out into our hungry little hands. It's not as easy as a Dead show that has already been mixed, and minimal editing needs to be done to it to present it for public consumption. And I know that the Dead organization, they run all their stuff through plangent processing. They got a whole thing going on where they have a workflow that provides for a minimum of 4 releases per year as part of the Dave's Picks series. They're also constantly working on archival boxed sets, multimedia box sets, multi-disc box sets, compilations, etc. There's all sorts of great stuff available from the Grateful Dead because they're always working on that stuff. That's their business model. It's there and it's already in an advanced stage where they don't have to do as much work as a Zappa release requires. I mean, to get what's out there out, and that's just one reason why there's always a regular supply of Grateful Dead releases and will continue to be for quite a while. They have a whole staff that takes care of it. Now, up until the point that Frank left us, as I said, there was only one person who was in charge of the Frank Zappa vault, and that was Frank. He had a lot of stuff in that noggin of his, and he didn't document it in the way that we document things now. He always had multiple projects going on, and there's all sorts of stuff that has to be put together. There's even complete albums that were abandoned. Like a couple of years ago, we found the Funky Nothingness album, or that is, the Vaultmeister found the Funky Nothingness album, and that was unearthed and presented, and it was wonderful. So currently, and for the foreseeable future, we do have Joe, the Vaultmeister, who has been working, listening, documenting, doing the detective work, learning the technical ins and outs of what to do to make these things available from the mountain of Frank Zappa recordings that exist into releasable and enjoyable objects. And with the business sense of Frank's son Amit and the cooperation of Universal, who now owns the Zappa catalog, we're getting to see a lot of fantastic music. Now, when you take a look at the number of Grateful Dead releases that are out there, and we're talking combining regular albums and live albums, it's close to 300 releases, okay? And only 10 of these are bona fide studio albums. Now, this new Zappa album that just came out, Cheaper Than Cheap, a live album, 3-record set, that's number 130. And there's a lot of things that have to go on before a Zappa album gets into our hands. Even before Cheaper Than Cheap was ready for release, and the release was not completely finished as far as being ready to go, images leaked out, tidbits of information leaked out, and people were jumping on it and claiming that there were release dates and making up release dates, taking these photos, putting them out on French and German websites, and self-proclaimed official Zappa news sites that weren't really official. Mine's not even official, but I have a commitment to only giving you official information whenever possible. And if it's not official, I let you know, okay? But, these people report these rumors as truth. And they send a lot of false information to the public. And when that false information starts leaking out, a lot of very devoted Zappa fans believe all these rumors and start posting them on social media as fact. And the people who are in charge of the posthumous Zappa releases work hard to bring you quality product. As Frank himself said, provide you with the world's finest optional entertainment, because they know that the Zappa fans care about the music and the quality of the recordings and the authenticity. The Zappa rumor mill is a spindly sewing circle of sorts. As of the day that I'm posting this, Cheaper Than Cheap is a reality, and it's landing into fans' laps. And that's a good thing. Already, the sharks are saying, well, what's coming up next? Are we getting this? Are we getting that? Are we getting a anniversary box set? Are we getting some stuff from the 80s bands? I want this band, so I'm going to ask for this, or just assume it's going to be coming out. Chill, people. I mean, come on. All factors point to more releases coming out in the year 2025, okay? But how many? I don't know. It depends on a truckload of things that have to be done. I can make a reliable guess that the releases in question are already being worked on as I speak, and when they do come out, they will be worth the wait. It depends on so many things. Personally, I'd love to see 3 more releases before the end of 2025, but is that what we'll get? I have no way of knowing. I don't know. So I will hold myself in abeyance and not feed any rumor mill disguised as fact. Because that hurts all Zappa fans. Yeah, I'll be putting out my review of Cheaper Than Cheap later on this week. But until then, be well, enjoy your Zappa music, and have a great time, because I did, and I hope you did too. So, go listen to some music, and have a great day. Thanks for tuning in and watching. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you again soon.